The Imperial Command Center floated in silence above the shining capital world. From the outside, it looked peaceful. A great silver station, slow and steady, turning around the blue planet below. Inside, hundreds of officers worked at their stations. Screens glowed softly. Machines hummed like sleeping beasts. Everything was calm. Too calm. For 10,000 years, the Empire had ruled the galaxy. No enemy had ever come close to the capital system. No fleet had ever crossed these borders without permission. No world had dared to challenge Imperial command. The Empire believed it was eternal. High Admiral Carthos stood at the center platform, hands behind his back. His uniform was perfect. His face showed no fear, no doubt. He looked around the command hall with pride. "This system is secure," he said calmly. "Run standard scans. Nothing more." Officers nodded. This was routine. Most of them were bored. Young Lieutenant Varen sat at a sensor station near the back. His screen showed empty space. Clean, silent, endless space. He sighed. "Another quiet shift," he whispered. The capital system had not seen battle in centuries. The Empire's borders were far away. War happened in distant regions, against weak rebels and small alien tribes. Here, in the heart of power, nothing ever happened. But then, a small signal appeared on Varen's screen. He blinked. The dot was faint. Almost invisible. He leaned closer. "That's strange," he said softly. The signal did not match any known ship pattern. Not Imperial. Not merchant. Not pirate. Varen checked again. The signal vanished. He frowned. Probably a glitch, he told himself. He reset the scanner. The dot appeared again. This time, 3 signals. Very far away. Very faint. Varen swallowed. He tapped his console and sent the data to a senior officer. "Minor unknown contacts detected," he reported. "Extreme long range." The officer barely looked. "Probably space dust or sensor echo," the officer replied. "Clear it." Varen hesitated. "Yes, sir." But something felt wrong. Minutes passed. The signals did not fade. They multiplied. 5. 10. 20. They were moving. Slowly. Directly toward the capital system. Varen's heart beat faster. He stood up. "Sir," he said louder, unknown contacts increasing. Movement confirmed. The officer finally turned. He frowned at the screen. "Show me." Varen shared the data. The officer stared. "These are, not matching any known drive signature." He hesitated. Then shrugged. "Probably scouts from some outer colony. Low threat." Still, protocol required reporting. The message reached the Central Command platform. High Admiral Carthos glanced at the data. "Distance?" he asked. "Extreme long range, Admiral," an officer replied. "Far beyond normal traffic lanes." Carthos smiled slightly. "Then it is nothing." The Empire had sensors across the galaxy. If a threat existed, they would have known long before now. "Mark them for observation," Carthos ordered. "Do not disturb the fleet." "Yes, Admiral." The hall returned to calm. But the signals kept coming. New contacts appeared every few minutes. Not dozens. Hundreds. Still very far. Still silent. No messages. No transponders. No warnings. Just, movement. Varen's hands began to shake. "Sir, count now exceeds 300, he whispered. The officer's confidence faded. 300 unknown objects moving together was not normal. He sent another report. This time, the tone changed. Command analysts gathered around the data table. They ran deep scans. They cross-checked every known species, every known drive type. No match. One analyst spoke quietly. These signatures are not natural. They are artificial. Silence spread across the room. Artificial meant ships. Many ships. Carthos narrowed his eyes. Where are they coming from? Unknown origin, Admiral, the analyst replied. They appeared beyond the outer sensor web. As if they were not there before. Carthos did not like that. Nothing simply appeared in Imperial space. Are they accelerating? He asked. Yes, Admiral. How fast? The officer hesitated. Faster than any known Imperial engine. Murmurs filled the hall. That was impossible. Imperial drives were the best in the galaxy. No race had ever built faster engines. Carthos straightened. Open long-range visual projection. The main screen activated. Space appeared, dark, endless. At first, nothing. Then, slowly. Lights. Tiny points of white and blue. Dozens. Hundreds. Thousands. They were not stars. They were moving. All in perfect formation. The hall went silent. No one spoke. No one breathed. The fleet was enormous. Larger than any force the Empire had ever gathered. And it was heading straight for the capital. Still, no messages. No demands. No warning. Just quiet advance. Carthos felt a cold feeling in his chest. Identify them, he ordered. Unable, Admiral, the officer replied. No known configuration. No known energy pattern. Someone whispered, are they human? The name felt strange. Humans were a distant species. Small territory. Far away. Not important. Carthos laughed softly. Humans, he said. Impossible. They would never dare come here. But deep inside, doubt appeared. The lights grew brighter. Closer. Faster. The Empire's heart had never been threatened before. And now. Something unknown was coming. Something powerful. Something silent. As the first massive shapes became visible on the screen, one officer finally whispered the truth. This is not a patrol. This is not a visit. This is a war fleet. And far beyond the edge of Imperial space. The first human warships prepared to enter the system. The great command hall did not panic. Not yet. The massive screen showed the strange fleet growing larger by the second, but the officers of the Empire still believed in one thing above all else. Their power. High Admiral Carthos turned slowly, studying the faces around him. Many looked confused. Some looked uneasy. But none looked afraid. This is Imperial space, Carthos said calmly. No force enters here without permission. He raised one hand. Deploy long-range identification probes. Small drones launched from the station, flying toward the unknown fleet at high speed. Minutes passed. No response. The probe sent back data, but it made no sense. Hull shapes unknown. Energy output beyond standard limits. Weapon signatures unreadable. The analysis teams worked fast, but their answers grew worse with every scan. These ships are heavily armored, one analyst said. Shield layers at least 3 times thicker than ours. That is not possible, another officer replied. No race in this region has such technology. Carthos nodded. Correct. Which means these readings are wrong. He waved his hand. Recalibrate. Our systems are old. They are confused. No one argued. Questioning the Empire's technology was almost a crime. But Lieutenant Varen watched the screen and felt a knot in his stomach. The formation was perfect. Too perfect. Every ship moved with exact timing. No collisions. No drifting. Like a single mind controlled them all. "Admiral," a communications officer spoke, "no signals detected. Total radio silence." "Of course," Carthos replied. "They know better than to speak before Imperial command." He turned to the tactical platform. "Bring up defense grid status." The capital system came alive. Planetary cannons rotated slowly. Orbital shields brightened. Hidden missile arrays powered up. Hundreds of battle stations prepared for war. The heart of the Empire was a fortress. No enemy had ever broken it. "Even if they are hostile," Carthos said, "they will never reach the inner ring." A senior admiral beside him smiled. "Our outer fleets will handle them in minutes." Indeed, 3 Imperial battle groups were already moving to intercept. Thousands of heavy cruisers. Carriers full of fighters. Weapons charged and ready. The Empire was showing its strength. Confidence returned to the hull. Some officers even relaxed. "They came to the wrong place," someone said quietly. But Varen could not relax. The human fleet did not slow. It did not spread out. It did not react. It simply continued forward. Straight toward the capital. As if the Imperial fleets did not exist. "Admiral," Varen said, voice tight, "their course has not changed." Carthos frowned. "They ignore our defense line." "Yes, Admiral." That made no sense. Any sane commander would avoid the outer battle groups. Yet the unknown fleet moved directly into the trap. One of the senior admirals laughed. "Arrogant fools," he said. "They think numbers will save them." The first Imperial fleet moved into firing range. Hundreds of guns aligned. Missile bays opened. "Permission to engage," the fleet commander asked over secure channel. Carthos hesitated for a moment. Then nodded. "Fire a warning volley," he ordered. "Low power. Show them who controls this system." The order went out. From the edge of Imperial space, bright lines of plasma flew forward. Dozens of energy bolts rushed toward the unknown ships. The hull watched in silence. The shots hit. Or, they should have. Instead, something strange happened. The energy beams vanished. Not exploded. Not deflected. Simply, disappeared. As if space itself had swallowed them. Murmurs spread across the room. "That is impossible," an officer whispered. The second volley fired. Stronger. Focused. Again, nothing. No damage. No reaction. The human fleet continued moving. Unchanged. Untouched. Now, for the first time, fear appeared. "Raise weapon output to full," Carthos ordered sharply. "Target their lead ships." The outer Imperial fleet unleashed everything. Beams, missiles, rail cannons, gravity charges. The void lit up with fire. For a brief moment, the unknown ships were hidden behind explosions. Then the smoke cleared. They were still there. Not a single ship destroyed. Not even slowed. One analyst stared at his screen, pale. "Admiral, their shields are not weakening." "How?" Carthos demanded. I don't know, sir." And then, the human fleet finally reacted. Without warning. Without sound. A single ship at the front moved forward. Just one. Small compared to the massive Imperial Armada. It turned slowly. Weapons activated. Energy levels spiked beyond sensor limits. The ship fired once. Only once. A thin line of white light crossed the distance. It touched the nearest Imperial cruiser. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the cruiser vanished. Not exploded. Not broken. Gone. Space where it had been was empty. Silence crushed the hull. Someone dropped a data pad. Another whispered, "By the stars." The human ship did not fire again. It simply returned to formation. The message was clear. They could destroy the Empire. Whenever they wished. High Admiral Carthos finally felt it. True fear. His voice was low. "Open all channels," he said. "Send diplomatic signal." "What message, Admiral?" the officer asked. Carthos stared at the approaching fleet. And for the first time in his long career, he did not know what to say. Because the Empire had made its greatest mistake. It had assumed that it was still the strongest power in the galaxy. The silence after the destroyed cruiser felt heavier than any explosion. No one in the command hall spoke. No one moved. Thousands of officers stared at the empty space where an Imperial warship had existed only moments before. Gone. Not damaged. Not broken. Erased. High Admiral Carthos slowly lowered his hand. His mouth was dry. "This was not a warning," he said quietly. Around him, fear spread like cold wind. The human fleet continued to move forward. Closer. Larger. Clearer. Now the shapes were fully visible. They were unlike any ships the Empire had ever built. Long black hulls, sharp edges, layered armor plates like scales of metal. Bright blue engines burned at the rear, steady and calm. No decoration. No banners. No royal symbols. Only one mark appeared on every ship. A simple white symbol. 3 lines crossing a circle. Unknown. Unimportant. Yet somehow, terrifying. Analysts tried to scan again. Every attempt failed. "Admiral, we cannot see inside their shields," one officer said. "Sensor beams bend away from their hulls." Another added, "Their energy cores are unstable. Levels beyond safe limits." Carthos frowned. "Unstable?" "Yes, sir. But, controlled." That was worse. Only the best engineers could control unstable power. This fleet was not advanced by accident. It was designed for war. The human ships slowed as they entered the outer defense zone. Not because they feared it. Because they wanted to. Imperial fighters rushed forward to form screens. Thousands of small craft filled the space. They looked like insects compared to the dark giants behind them. Then, the human fleet stopped. Perfectly. All at once. Every ship froze in place, equal distance apart. Formation complete. It was beautiful. And deadly. Carthos forced himself to stand tall. "Transmit formal Imperial warning," he ordered. "State that this is restricted space. Demand identification." The communications officer opened all channels. "This is Imperial Command," she said, voice firm. "You have entered forbidden territory. Identify yourselves immediately." The signal raced toward the human fleet. Seconds passed. Nothing. Again she transmitted. No reply. The silence felt intentional. As if the humans were choosing when to speak. Then. One ship moved forward. Not the largest. Not the smallest. Just central. It drifted ahead of the formation. Slow. Calm. Confident. A new signal appeared on Imperial scanners. Different frequency. Perfectly clean. The channel opened. The voice that came through was human. Deep. Steady. Emotionless. This is Admiral Hayes of the United Human Defense Fleet. The hull froze. Humans. They were real. They were here. And they commanded this impossible armada. Carthos stepped forward. "This is High Admiral Carthos of the Galactic Empire," he replied. "You have violated sovereign space. State your purpose." There was a pause. Not static. Not delay. A deliberate pause. Then Hayes spoke again. "We are here to end your rule. Simple. Direct. No anger. No threat. Just a statement." Murmurs exploded across the hall. "End our rule. You dare." Carthos clenched his fists. "You face the full might of the Empire," he said sharply. "You will withdraw immediately or be destroyed." The human voice did not change. No. One word. Heavy. Final. Carthos felt his control slipping. "Humans," he said, "you are far from your borders. You are outnumbered." Another pause. Then Hayes answered. "We are exactly where we planned to be." The main screen changed. A tactical display appeared. Not Imperial data. Human data. It showed the entire capital system. Every station. Every fleet. Every defense cannon. Every hidden base. Even secret installations known only to Imperial High Command. Gasps filled the hall. "That data is classified," someone cried. The human voice continued. "You believe you are strong because no one has challenged you," Hayes said. "You believe your empire is eternal." The display zoomed out. Beyond the system. Beyond the sector. Across dozens of Imperial regions. Red marks appeared. Thousands of them. Human fleets. Everywhere. Surrounding Imperial space from all sides. The Empire was already surrounded. Carthos felt his legs weaken. "When did you enter our borders?" he whispered. Hayes answered softly. 3 days ago." Shock crushed the hall. 3 days. And the Empire had known nothing. The human voice spoke again. "We studied you for a long time," Hayes said. "Your fleets. Your politics. Your cruelty." Images appeared. Slave worlds. Burned colonies. Public executions. Imperial crimes. Recorded. Saved. "You rule through fear," Hayes continued. "You break worlds. You silence species." Carthos tried to speak. Failed. "So today," Hayes said, calm as stone. "Humanity ends your empire." The human ship powered its weapons. Energy rose across the fleet. Thousands of cannons lit up. Not aimed at the fleets. Not aimed at the stations. They aimed directly at the Imperial Command Station. At the heart. At them. Carthos realized the truth. This was not a battle. This was an execution. And the Empire had never seen it coming. For one long moment. Nothing happened. Thousands of ships faced each other in silence. The Empire's greatest fleets. Humanity's unknown armada. Two powers at the edge of history. High Admiral Carthos stared at the screen, his breath slow and heavy. "They are bluffing," he said, more to himself than to others. "No fleet attacks the heart of an empire alone." But deep inside, he no longer believed it. The human weapons glowed brighter. Energy climbed beyond safe levels. Imperial alarms began to scream. "Admiral," an officer shouted. "Their power readings are breaking our sensors." Carthos raised his hand. "All fleets, prepare full counterattack," he ordered. "Target their lead ships. Destroy them. The order raced across Imperial space. Thousands of guns turned. Missile bays opened. Fighter wings launched in endless waves. The Empire struck first. Space exploded with fire. Beams of plasma crossed the void. Missiles burned bright trails. Rail cannons shattered the darkness. The attack was beautiful. And useless. Human shields absorbed everything. Energy waves curved away. Missiles vanished before impact. Beams faded like light in fog. Not one human ship slowed. Not one formation broke. Fear hit the hull like a storm. Why are they not taking damage? Someone cried. Before anyone could answer. The humans attacked. Without warning. Without countdown. The human fleet moved as one. Thousands of ships shifted position with perfect timing. A web of blue light spread across space. Human weapons fired. Not wildly. Not in rage. In perfect control. Entire Imperial squadrons disappeared in seconds. Cruisers split in half. Carriers collapsed into glowing dust. Fighter wings vanished before they could fire. There were no long battles. No heroic stands. Just sudden endings. Imperial commanders screamed orders. Retreat to inner ring. Protect the stations. Reform the line. But the line no longer existed. The human fleet cut through it like a blade through smoke. They moved fast. Too fast. They appeared behind Imperial formations without warning. Warp jumps inside defended space. Impossible maneuvers. New weapons. Silent weapons. Some Imperial ships simply shut down. Power gone. Life support fading. Drifting helpless. Others vanished completely. No wreckage. No remains. Just empty space. High Admiral Carthos watched fleets die on his screen. Icons blinked out one by one. Red after red after red. Admiral, we are losing contact with Battle Group 7. Admiral, inner defense stations destroyed. Admiral, planetary shield collapsing. His empire was breaking. Faster than any war in history. The human fleet did not chase fleeing ships. They ignored them. Their goal was clear. The capital. The throne. The heart. Human dreadnoughts pushed forward, unstoppable. Imperial cannons fired again and again. Nothing stopped them. One massive human ship drifted close to a battle station. The station unleashed everything. The human ship answered with a single pulse. The station vanished in white light. Gone. The planet below shook as debris burned in the atmosphere. Citizens watched burning metal fall from the sky. For the first time in 10,000 years. The capital world was afraid. Inside the command hall, chaos ruled. Officers shouted. Screens flashed warnings. Systems failed. Carthos tried to speak. No one listened. The Empire's perfect control was gone. He slammed his fist on the platform. Focus, he roared. Slowly, the hull quieted. He straightened. Activate the final defense, he said. All eyes turned. The ancient weapons, someone whispered. Yes, Carthos said. Unlock the core cannons. All of them. Those weapons had not been used in centuries. They drained stars. They cracked moons. They could destroy entire fleets. The order went out. Deep within the capital system, massive cannons awakened. Energy gathered like small suns. The human fleet did not retreat. They did not panic. They waited. The first core cannon fired. A beam as wide as a city tore across space. It hit a human battleship. The impact lit the system like a new star. When the light faded, the human ship still floated there. Scorched. But alive. Silence filled the hull. The second cannon fired. Then the third. Then all of them. Dozens of world-breaking weapons struck the human line. When the storm ended, only 3 human ships were damaged. None destroyed. The humans answered. A coordinated strike. Blue waves of energy flowed outward. Every core cannon exploded at once. The ancient weapons were gone. Carthos felt something break inside him. They destroyed our final defense, he whispered. Outside, human dreadnoughts entered the inner orbit. They surrounded the capital world. They blocked the stars. The sky turned dark. From the surface, people looked up and saw only shadows. Human shadows. The battle was ending. And the Empire had already lost. The command hall no longer looked like the heart of a great empire. It looked like a disaster zone. Screens flashed red warnings. Alarms screamed without pause. Officers ran between stations, shouting orders that no one could follow. The calm of the Empire was gone. Fear ruled now. High Admiral Carthos stood frozen on the central platform, staring at the tactical map. Where there had once been thousands of Imperial ships, now there were empty spaces. Destroyed fleets. Broken stations. Silent zones. Human icons filled the system like dark stars. "Admiral," an officer cried. "We have lost contact with the Northern Defense Ring." Another shouted, "Southern Carrier Group destroyed. Planetary shield down to 40%. Messages flooded in from every direction. Colonies burning. Stations falling. Generals begging for orders. The Empire was collapsing faster than anyone believed possible. Carthos slowly removed his command gloves. His hands were shaking. "Open channel to the Emperor," he said quietly. A communications officer nodded and activated the secure link. The great golden image of Emperor Valkyrin appeared. His crown shone bright. His face was calm. Too calm. "Why is my capital under attack?" the Emperor asked. Carthos struggled to speak. "Majesty, the human fleets, they are overwhelming us." The Emperor frowned. "Humans," he said. "That small border species?" "Yes, Majesty." Valkyrin leaned forward. "How many fleets do they have?" Carthos swallowed. "Unknown. But, thousands." The Emperor waved his hand. "Then summon the reserve armadas. Call the ancient houses. Release the forbidden weapons." Carthos closed his eyes. "They are already destroyed, Majesty." Silence. For the first time, doubt appeared in the Emperor's eyes. Destroyed? Impossible. Yet the burning sky below told the truth. Outside the station, human ships moved into perfect attack positions. Not rushing. Not careless. Like hunters closing a trap. Imperial commanders argued across open channels. "We must retreat." "No, defend the throne world." "Evacuate the royal sector." "Seal the gates." Orders contradicted each other. Nothing worked. Human fleets cut supply lines. Destroyed communication relays. Captured control nodes. Whole regions of the system went dark. One by one. Imperial worlds fell silent. Inside the command hall, panic turned into despair. Some officers removed their badges. Others prayed. A few simply sat and stared. Lieutenant Varin stood at his station, pale. His screen showed the capital planet below. Cities still glowing. People still living. Unaware that the greatest war in history was ending above their heads. He whispered, "They don't even know. Suddenly, a new alert appeared. A deep, slow alarm. Different from all others. The emergency of last resort. An officer turned, shaking. "Admiral, the human fleets have reached the inner command ring." Gasps filled the hall. That ring protected the Emperor himself. No enemy had ever reached it. Never. Carthos felt the weight of centuries fall on his shoulders. "How many ships remain to defend it?" he asked. The answer came soft and broken. 27. From tens of thousands to 27. Human fleets numbered in the hundreds. The inner ring did not last long. Human ships did not bombard it. They hacked it. Codes appeared on imperial screens. Foreign commands. Defense turrets turned. Shields shut down. Then the human fleet passed through. As if the ring had never existed. Inside the palace sector, fear finally reached the throne. Royal guards prepared escape ships. Servants ran through golden halls. The emperor stood alone on his balcony, watching dark shapes cover the stars. The sky of his world was gone. Only human warships remained. Back in the command station, Carthos received a final report. "Admiral, human strike groups have entered the palace orbit." That was the end. He closed his eyes. 10,000 years. That was how long the empire had ruled. And it was ending. In a single day. The emperor's image returned to the screen. His voice was no longer proud. "What do they want?" he asked softly. Carthos opened a channel to the human fleet. "Human command," he said, voice heavy. "What are your demands?" The reply came quickly. Clear. Cold. "You have no power left to bargain." Another pause. Then. "Prepare to surrender your empire." Carthos looked around the ruined hall. At broken screens. At terrified officers. At a dying civilization. And he understood the truth. The war was over. Only the judgment remained. The capital world had never known silence like this. Above the planet, the human fleet formed a dark ring around the sky. No stars were visible anymore. Only shadows of warships, endless and still. The battle had stopped. But the fear had not. On the surface, millions of citizens looked up from their cities, their homes, their streets. They saw the same thing. The sky was no longer theirs. Inside the royal palace, Emperor Valkyrin walked through golden halls that suddenly felt small. Servants had fled. Guards whispered in fear. Escape ships were already gone. Only the throne remained. Valkyrin stopped before the great window. Once, he had ruled the galaxy from here. Now, he ruled nothing. A signal appeared on every imperial screen. Human transmission. The voice of Admiral Hayes filled the palace. "Emperor Valkyrin," he said calmly. "Your fleets are destroyed. Your weapons are silent. Your systems are under our control." Valkyrin closed his eyes. "What do you want from me?" he asked. The answer came without hesitation. "Surrender." No long speech. No threat. Just one word. Valkyrin laughed softly. "For 10,000 years, emperors ruled the stars," he said. "You expect me to end that history with a word?" Hayes replied, "History ended when you chose cruelty over justice." Human strike ships moved closer. Not to destroy. To surround. Energy beams targeted every defense tower. Every palace shield. Every hidden weapon. The message was clear. Resistance meant extinction. Inside the command station, High Admiral Carthos watched the final positions appear on his screen. Human ships now controlled. The capital orbit. The palace sector. The defense network. The communication grid. The empire was blind. Deaf. Powerless. Carthos whispered, "It is finished." In the palace, royal advisors begged the emperor. "Majesty, surrender. Save the people. The war is lost." Valkyrin turned slowly. For the first time in his long life. He looked tired. He looked old. He nodded once. "Open the channel," he said. The connection opened. "This is Emperor Valkyrin," he said, voice steady. "I accept your terms. I surrender the empire." Across the human fleet, weapons powered down. Shields relaxed. The war ended. But judgment had not. A human shuttle descended through the palace shields. It landed silently in the central court. The doors opened. Human soldiers stepped out. Not brutal. Not angry. Calm. Disciplined. Their armor was dark. Their visors reflected the golden palace. They moved with perfect control. Admiral Hayes walked at their front. He removed his helmet. His face was human. Tired. Scarred. But peaceful. Valkyrin waited on the throne. No crown now. No guards. Only a fallen ruler. Hayes stopped before him. "Stand," he said quietly. Valkyrin stood. "For thousands of years, you enslaved worlds," Hayes said. "You burned cities. You silenced species." Screens appeared around the throne. Images played. Chains. Camps. Executions. Destroyed planets. Imperial crimes. Valkyrin turned away. Hayes continued. "Today, the galaxy is free from your rule." Two soldiers stepped forward. Energy cuffs closed around Valkyrin's wrists. Not violent. Not cruel. Final. The Emperor of the Galaxy became a prisoner. Outside, human fleets moved across Imperial space. One by one. Imperial systems went dark. Throne symbols fell. Imperial flags were lowered. Across the galaxy, slaves broke chains. Colonies opened gates. Hidden species sent silent thanks into the stars. The empire was no more. In the command hall, Carthos removed his insignia and placed it on the floor. 10,000 years. Ended in hours. Above the capital world, human ships slowly turned away. Not to claim worlds. Not to take tribute. Only to leave order behind. And as the first stars returned to the sky, the galaxy understood one truth. A power greater than empires now walked among them. Humanity. The war ended. But its echo traveled across the galaxy. News of the empire's fall spread faster than any ship could fly. From the smallest mining moon to the oldest star kingdom, every world heard the same story. The empire was gone. Not weakened. Not defeated slowly. Erased in a single day. No one could believe it at first. For 10,000 years, the empire had ruled all known space. Its fleets were legends. Its emperors were thought to be eternal. And now, its capital lay silent. Its throne was empty. And its banners burned in space. Across the former imperial worlds, people waited in fear. They expected revenge. They expected occupation. They expected chains under a new master. But none came. Human fleets did not land on planets. They did not take cities. They did not claim resources. Instead, they opened prisons. They destroyed slave camps. They restored power to broken worlds. On one distant colony, thousands of slaves watched in shock as human soldiers cut open their chains. One old alien fell to his knees and whispered, "Are we free?" A human answered softly, "Yes. You are free. Across the galaxy, hidden species sent secret messages. Thank you. Hope returned where it had died long ago. In the great neutral halls of the Galactic Council, ambassadors gathered in silence. Never before had so many leaders met without an empire watching them. Fear filled the room. What will humans do now? One asked. Will they rule us next? Are we safe? No one knew. Until a human message arrived. Broadcast to every known system. The voice of Admiral Hayes filled the stars. We did not come to rule, he said. We did not come to conquer. Screens showed images of freed worlds. Broken chains. Rebuilt cities. Families reunited. We came to end cruelty, Hayes continued. We came to stop those who believed power gave them the right to destroy others. The message paused. Then. Every world will choose its own future. No empire will replace the old one. The galaxy belongs to all its people. Silence followed. Then, something new. Relief. In the ruins of the Imperial Palace, Emperor Valkyrin sat alone in a small cell. No crown. No throne. No servants. Just memory. Once, he had ruled everything. Now, he ruled nothing. A human guard stood outside his door. Not cruel. Not mocking. Simply watching. Justice had replaced revenge. High Admiral Carthos stood on a balcony of the damaged command station. Human engineers worked quietly behind him, repairing systems, restoring power. No chains. No orders. Only help. He whispered, "You destroyed our empire, and then saved our people." A human officer replied, "We destroyed your rulers. Not your future." Slowly, new governments rose across the former empire. Free councils. Open elections. Independent worlds. Species that had hidden for centuries finally showed themselves. Trade returned. Travel reopened. Peace slowly grew. And everywhere, one name was spoken with both fear and respect. Humanity. They were no longer seen as a small border species. They were no longer ignored. They were now the guardians of the balance. Years later, historians would write of that day. They would say, "The empire fell not because it was weak, but because it believed no one could challenge it." They would say, "Humanity did not rise for glory. They rose for justice." And in the deepest archives of the galaxy, one final line would remain. The lesson every species would teach its children. Never underestimate a quiet species. Because when humanity finally moves, empires disappear.